Welcome to Beckway Balance, where we bring you insights and voices from Perth's accounting frontline. I'm Nadene Lewis-Laing, and together we'll unpack the stories, the challenges, and the wins that define accounting careers right here in WA. Hi everyone, and welcome to Beckway Balance. I'm Nadene, and today's episode is one I think many of you in public practice will really connect with. I'm joined by Ben Clarkson, partner at DFK Gooding Partners, someone who has built his career through consistency, loyalty, and a genuine commitment to developing people. Ben's story is a great example of what's possible when you grow within a firm, learn from strong mentors, and stay curious about both the commercial and human side of accounting. We'll be talking about everything from leadership and client trust to culture, innovation, and what the next generation should be preparing for. Let's get into the conversation. Ben, welcome to Beckway Balance.
Thank you, Nadene. Nice to be here.
Lovely. Good to have you. Good to have you. So we'll get straight into it. So, Ben, you've spent a large part of your career developing within DFK Gooding Partners. Looking back, what have been the real advantages and perhaps even the challenges of growing within one firm over time?
Yeah, good question. I suppose my journey is a little bit unique these days, and that I've been at Gooding Partners for about 17 years now. I started here pretty much 1 year into my career, and I've been here ever since. So it is unique. I haven't moved around, and I think it's been a real benefit to my career. I guess going back to the start, when I was joining this firm, I was really particular about what I wanted, particularly culturally, performance-wise, and about the people that I wanted to work with. When I found Gooding Partners, they were a really good fit for me and what I was seeking. And along the journey, they've continued to deliver, I guess, what I was looking for. They've provided challenges along the way, consistent learning, and every time I wanted to progress, provided I was ready, they facilitated that opportunity. We're really lucky here in that I'm not alone. We've got a number of really, really long-term staff. What that gives us is this wonderful culture. First of all, we've got a bunch of people that have worked together for such a long time. We know what we do and we deliver it really well. And whenever there are problems and issues, we know we can rely on each other as a team. I suppose downsides to it, if there are any, would be really, I guess, there's always the temptation to jump ship multiple times through your career, particularly for salary rises or promotions. The way I see that is you don't know what you're going to get into.
Yeah.
Salary raises a temporary sugar hit. You quite quickly forget about them, particularly if the culture isn't right. And by staying with when it's the right firm, by staying for such a long tenure, first of all, you can influence the culture, you can build it, but then ultimately you know who you're getting into business with really, really well. You know how you behave, you know you can rely on each other. And that's a big part of what I was seeking as a partner. So yeah, been pretty lucky in that perspective to find the right place really early on in my career.
No, that's fantastic. Yeah, I hear that a lot, actually. I think sort of growing from management through to partnership, you've got to really get to know the people that you're working with and have strong relationships with them. So, yeah, that's really good that you've done such tenure with DFK Gooding Partners.
Yeah, it's quite amazing. It really hasn't felt like 17 years. I kind of shake my head every time I see that. But
A
yeah,
long
it's
time.
been amazing.
Excellent. And over the years, you've worked across property, professional services, high net worth clients, many, many more industry sectors. How did you develop your technical strengths into commercial expertise? And how do you keep learning in such a diverse space?
Yeah, a really good question. It's something I think about a lot, whether some people specialize in particular industries. It's not something that I've ever really wanted to do. And my view ultimately is tax legislation is the same as applied to various industries. Each of them do have their kind of nuances though. So you just need to be interested, understand what you're dealing with. And then the other really important part is lean on the people around you. Again, when I reflect on our team here, we've got people in the firm that do have significant experience in areas that I may not. So we can lean on each other, share that knowledge, and then continue to build on it personally. And then it's really about developing that relationship with the client, nurturing it, understanding their business is important, what their drivers are, both from the business perspective and personally, what are they looking to get out of it? And then apply your knowledge, the technical knowledge that you've, developed, first of all, university, then through your CA, and then on the job learning. So it's a culmination of those few factors and those few sources that I think really helps you become a good advisor in the long run. But the thing I couldn't stress enough is also leaning on the people around you, realizing that perhaps you aren't the best at everything and you don't need to be. But if you're able to go and source that expertise, either bring that expertise into your meetings and advice or lean on it to kind of inform your views.
Absolutely. A collaborative approach is definitely the better one. So that's good.
Yeah.
All right. DFK Gooding Partners is known for its strong culture and collaborative teams, as you've just described there. From your perspective, what truly makes a great accounting team, and how do you help nurture that culture in a busy practice?
Yeah, it's really, really important to us here at Gooding Partners. As I said, it's the thing that attracted me to the firm in the first place, with the high quality of work, good clients, but also the culture. So coming through the ranks and now as partner, it's really important to me to nurture that that environment. Something we believe in that I think assists is our one team philosophy. We aren't segmented into separate divisions, so we collaborate really regularly. That builds a team. There's no animosity between different teams or divisions, and it really culminates in a team approach. Beyond that, it's really understanding the members of your team, communicating with them regularly, taking an interest in their lives, and hopefully them doing the same in ours. We share a lot of time in this one space here, so it's important to really build a good rapport with each other, which we've got. Respect each other professionally, get together socially, and hopefully we'll have a good time. It's, at the end of the day, we're trying to achieve the same goal. It gets hard, it gets stressful, it's really busy.
Yeah.
But if we can support each other, come out of the other end of it, celebrate and enjoy our successes, then yeah, it's a happy place to be. It's important to remember
Yeah.
at the end of the day, we're all here working together, trying to achieve the same goals. I think as well, really open communication both ways is useful. It's a difficult thing to achieve sometimes. I mean, giving feedback is always a difficult topic. Some people aren't great at giving it. Others aren't wonderful at receiving it. But I heard a wonderful anecdote, and it was given by, it was Natalia Cohen, actually. She presented our business breakfast last week. And they had a philosophy on that because it was four women on a boat rowing from San Francisco to Cairns. So you can imagine that 9 months on the water, four of them on a small boat. And how did they manage conflict and spending time together and maintaining a good culture, I guess? And around communication, they had this philosophy. It's like a pebble in your shoe. Um, it starts off as a small issue, you walk around with it and it's fine, but all of a sudden, if it's not addressed, it becomes unbearable and you need to yank the shoe off and get rid of this pebble. So it's really about early communication, and open and honest communication. Those things, if you get onto them really quite quickly, they don't become an issue and everyone benefits, I guess, as you can move forward and
Yeah.
no issues fester. I just thought it was one of those things I noted down while she was speaking because it was an interesting anecdote.
Oh, some great words of wisdom there, that's for sure. So turning first-time engagements into long-term partnerships isn't easy. What's your approach to building client trust, and what do you think sets the best advisors apart from the rest?
There's a few fundamentals. You need to deliver on what you promise. If you promise something by a certain date, you do it. Beyond that, though, I think it's really, nowadays it's going beyond the compliance, which is a great thing. It's being interested in their business, their goals, and what makes them tick as a business owner. Generally, they've got a few things they like to achieve, and you can partner with them and help them achieve those goals rather than just simply doing a set of financial statements and tax returns at the end of the year. You're adding far more value to both their business and their personal lives. At that point, you become a trusted advisor, and it's a really, really strong relationship that you build going forward. Rather than somebody that says, "Look, thank you. Here's your tax bill, and I'll see you in 12 months." That's not really the way I like to operate. And I don't think the client's getting much out of that relationship either. So if you want that longevity, it's really about going beyond the compliance and adding some value. And that comes from a good understanding of what that client is and wants.
Absolutely. The advisory piece, yeah, that's second to none. Yeah, it's definitely high value to clients. So, yeah, continue with the good work. So, the role of a partner has evolved a lot since you started in the industry. Beyond technical excellence, what do you think modern partners need to bring to the table to stay relevant and effective?
Yeah, it's evolved a lot these days. Technical expertise is almost a given. That's what kind of gets you into the room. And then there's a number of things. It's leading the team. Leadership is really a big part of it. Getting your people together and moving in the one direction. If you can achieve that, you're going to have a really successful firm. Secondary to that is as well making sure that you're not just focusing on your clients' work. So many accountants get stuck in focusing on their clients and their business is not really spending enough time on their own and seeking opportunities for those businesses. The industry is going through a bit of a time of change at the moment. So as partners, we should really be being quite proactive and understanding how that change is going to shape our businesses going forward. And I think that's the fundamental responsibility of the modern partner.
Excellent. That's good tips there. So getting on to talent retention. So it's a big topic across WA accounting firms right now. What do you look for when promoting staff, and how can firms better develop and retain the next generation of accountants?
It's a really hot topic at the moment. Everybody knows good talent is really, really difficult to find, and your best candidates are generally internal. They've been trained the way you want, they know what you're about, and generally they're committed to the firm. What we need to do is just make sure they are getting the opportunities that they're after. That starts with communication and finding out really what makes them tick and trying to then facilitate those things that they're seeking. We internally provide a lot of training. We're part of an Australia-wide and global network. So getting into the conferencing and getting away from purely technical skills, but getting into soft skills is a huge benefit for us. Not only does it provide them with the skill set too, but it gives them a real pathway and network to develop through the various stages of the accounting career. I think historically firms kind of rewarded people for just doing a great job. You're a graduate accountant, you get your CA, then you're a senior accountant, you do really well, your productivity is fantastic, and your technical knowledge is excellent. Then you're just promoted to manager. And it's like, well, hang on, now there's a completely different skill set required. And rather than just saying, good luck, it's really nice to be able to support that with some proper training up front on that skill set required. So that's massive for us. And then aside from that, there is this social and cultural aspect of the firm that you need to nurture and constantly keep your finger on the pulse and see how all of that's tracking. Your social club needs to be vibrant. You need to be giving back to the community. I find that's more and more important, both to candidates and staff internally, is what are you doing to give back? Personally, that aligns with my philosophy anyway. But rather than just getting jobs out and paying salary, there's a lot more than they're after. So you need to be on the front foot with making sure that's being facilitated. That makes sense.
It does, definitely. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, the last placement that we did together was a candidate senior from a mid-tier, and she had God knows what, 10 offers, and she picked DFK Gooding Partners purely because, obviously great firm, but also because of the charity work that you're involved in, and that aligns with her personal values. So it does go a long way.
Yeah, it really does. And that was, I guess, really nice feedback to hear as well. It shows
Yeah,
it is a commitment to do these things. We love doing them, but it is great that they're being recognized. People are noticing, and, both clients and potential staff members do. So, yeah,
absolutely.
it's great.
It's really good. So we're going to get on to the topic of technology. There's so much going on. So
There is.
technology is changing the way that we work, but not every tool delivers real value. Which innovations or process shifts have genuinely improved the way your team operates day to day?
The biggest one, I think the biggest technological shift that's changed the way we operate as accountants occurred a little while back now. And that's really the move to something like zero online real-time bookkeeping or data entry. And that's really allowed the industry to get proactive in giving advice rather than kind of looking historically at the 12 months prior and giving some brief advice. Now we're able to advise real time. So that was a massive shift. And of course, we've had a lot of incremental improvement along the way, but it was really, I guess, a seismic shift and allowed us to change the way that we do business, which is exciting. Now it feels like we're on the cusp of a similar movement with AI. I don't think we've really seen or understood exactly what it's going to do for accounting yet. We can philosophize over what we think that might be and all form a view, and we have to, but obviously it's going to be a drastic change. It is improving that real-time data analysis, but I think it will have a broader impact than that. And I think it's going to shape a little bit perhaps what the advisor of the future looks like. I think if your career was going down the path of simple data entry and compliance, you might want to develop a different skill set. So I think that's just going to become a lot more automated. It's going to become cost competitive. And where value is going to be is really in client relationship management and advisory skills, which is exciting, I think, for most advisors. But if you're still stuck in that space of making your money from compliance and data entry, all of that stuff that can be automated, I think it will be in the relatively short term. So that's probably the upcoming one that we need to keep our eyes out for.
Absolutely. Yeah. Even my clients, any client I'm speaking to now, when they're recruiting, they're looking for their next advisor as opposed to compliance focused person. So 100% with you on that one. So I'm going to put you on the spot now. So sort of thinking about all the contacts and stuff that you've gained over the years. So without naming names, can you share a client or project experience that's taught you a lasting lesson about business, people, or leadership?
There are so many. I guess there are a few things that stick with me, and they're really about leadership and sticking to your ethics and boundaries and morals. And there are a couple of instances where clients were a little bit edgy about what they wanted to do. Some of these were international clients looking to do things in Australia that weren't quite ethical and not in line with the income tax law. And as a young accountant and someone trying to progress in your career, you're also trying to juggle this, grow your fee base, look after your clients, keep everyone happy. But some of the greatest lessons I learned, and I had a lot of support from the partners above me who just don't budge on this stuff, was to, again, reflect on what we're comfortable with. And if it doesn't align with our ethics or morals, say no to it or push back on the client. And some of them we let go and they've got themselves into trouble down the track. So in hindsight, a really good decision to behave that way and a good lesson to kind of value your practice and what we're doing and your own morals and ethics above simply pleasing a client. I think that they're some of the biggest lessons I've had career to date.
That's great advice and great insight as well for young and upcoming accountants coming through. Because you are eager to please, when you're when you got them on as a client. So last but not least, so we're looking at the future of public practice. So looking ahead, what excites you most about where public practice accounting is heading, and what do you think the next generation of professionals should focus on to be ready for it?
Yeah, I probably touched on this a little bit actually earlier in my technology and practical innovation comments. I think right now the exciting thing is we've got technology just evolving at a rapid pace. We really need to look at how quickly we adopt it and what we adopt. Be careful about what we choose, particularly as it does evolve so quickly. Some things are going to work, some aren't, some won't be around in 5 years. So you need to put the time and effort into understanding what works for your practice, firstly. But the exciting part of that for me is it moves your practice from, I guess, pure compliance. And, in 17 years, the way the industry's evolved, when you look at it, it's really quite rapid. When I started, we were looking at cash books, we were looking at receipts, shoe boxes full of them. And we're doing paperwork papers. So really, you've got no time to give outstanding advice. You're really getting through that crunch. Whereas now we're at a point where things are real time. The next step's going to be the level of analysis that we can leverage technology for and develop those advisory relationships and push them further with our clients. And that's, for me, super exciting.
Excellent. No, thanks very much for that info and insight there, Ben. Accountants will love that. That actually brings us to the end of today's chat. So thank you so much, Ben, for your time and for your wisdom there. I really appreciate the honesty you've brought to this conversation, especially around leadership, culture, and what it takes to build a long-term career in public practice. If this episode resonated with you, feel free to share it or follow the podcast on Spotify and YouTube so you don't miss what's coming next. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you on the next episode.
Brilliant. Thanks, Nadene.
Thank you. You've been listening to Beckway Balance, insights and voices from Perth's accounting frontline. Follow us for more real stories and practical insights from Perth's accounting community.